Welcome back to Mac Island. This is Mac Plays on Mac and we are entering episode 22. This episode is going to be very different from what we used to see on this channel. In a few minutes we're going to have a live play, but first I wanted to start building a bit more the city. So here we're looking at this amazing new asset, the urban elementary school, and as you can see I upgraded to the best of the level, and here the site being a bit odd and empty, I decided to go with a mixed residence high density kind of building, so it's gonna fit very well together. You're gonna see it's gonna blend in very much. And on top of that middle school, we also adding a high school, the same we built in the previous one. And here I'm gonna add some parking lot. I'm looking at the right one and actually do think that this one might not be the best for how many cars we can fit, but they look amazing next to that high school, and I will say they would be for the teachers maybe. Now let's go back to next to the elementary school. I feel like this place needs more density. We are gonna add also some parking lot. Some of the buildings don't have any parking, and this new parking that the last patch added fits perfectly here and there as well. Now we can delete that building and just have a new building here taking the whole side. Just perfect. So this was a police department that I built. It came actually with an asset that I downloaded. It's not native to the game. I kind of like it, and it makes me feel like we might need to change that first one we built in the first episode and add the new urban police department. They are very cool. Let's add some density over here, and we are gonna go right now to that police department, see how much room it takes. And this one takes much less room for about the same, and it also looks, if it's just better, like the character of the building. It's a two-story building. Here's like this kind of architecture that just fits a downtown vibe. And while we're at it, we're gonna upgrade everything and also rebuild the surrounding area. Now I'm gonna add some little post office all around the city because I feel like we are missing them. The problem is the building, the original building is way too big, so this one being smaller footprint allows me to have much more around town. And so I'm deciding also to put one in this very residential area. And finally, I found a couple more buildings that would suit perfectly on that block over there. So this one, first I placed it here, but it was too close to the street, and being a building wall to wall, it doesn't suit to have it on the corner, so I decided to have another type of building on the corner to make them fit better together. And I did the same on the other side, and just like this, you're gonna see it's gonna look amazing. Now let's take a look at how incredible the weather look. I mean, people may love complaints about dynamic weather, but honestly it just looks incredible. Alright, and here we are. Now it's time for the actual live play. So yes, this is what I'm playing with. Can you see how slow it is? So right now I'm playing with the settings on high. Not everything is maxed out, but it's just the high settings without the motion blur. As you can see, when I move around, it's very laggy. It's incredible how slow it is. Now, a few things to remember. I am playing on a laptop, a M1 MacBook Pro, 32 gigs of RAM through parallel desktop, which allows me to use 24 gigs of RAM for my RAM and also my graphic card. So these are the specifications of my computer, but on top of this, the city is about 52,000 people, and I also play with the graphics on high and quite a few mods installed. You will see the list in just a few seconds, but here just see how painful it is for me. That's why I always use time-lapse and I don't really do live play, because it will just not be enjoyable for you. So here, take a look at the city. You can see that now I'm at speed 8 and it's 0.5, 0.6, so it's not ideal at all. It's not really playable, but it looks so good. Now today what we're gonna do is we actually gonna try to see what different settings do on the speed, especially when we have 50,000 people or more. just like this. Let's take a look at this tram now going here. It's not smooth again, it's very slow, but still things works. It's gorgeous, it just takes much longer. It's playable. I honestly, if I was not recording, I would use the game in lower setting. Medium and high don't change much, but lower settings, you're gonna see that the speed is actually much faster. So now let's take a look at the mods that I'm actually using. If I had to do that again, I wouldn't use all of these mods, but right now this is what we have. Advanced simulation speed is the thing that allows me to see what is my FPS. Now the asset pack manager will be replaced as soon as we have the actual assets from the paradox mode, and the weather one is actually something that I like a lot because in this map it's way too snowy and it allowed me to kind of set the temperature I want it at, so because of this I don't have snow for 8 months out of the year. Now here, take a look at this is inside the bustling area. You have a lot of things going on. The FPS is about 0.47 and yeah, it's not perfect, but it's still working. Now it's time to compare it with what does it look like in low setting. So let's go into the options and we're gonna just put it in general low setting right there in graphic. See that delay when I move the mouse, how long it takes to do all of these kind of changes. So right there we're gonna go from custom to very low. It actually takes a few seconds to change all of this. I'm gonna speed the process though because I don't want us to wait too long. But here it is. Now you can see it. So this is in low settings. Not everything looks incredible. It looks much more cartoonish. You don't see as far. You don't have the clouds anymore, which I think might be the biggest drawback for me. Some of the shadows are not as accurate, but it is much more responsive. As you can see, as soon as I move, everything reacts very, very quick. You can also see that now the FPS is at 0.8. It's like hovering between that, but it actually gonna go all the way to 1 or 1.2 as well at some point, depending on where we are into the city. So here we are with the same view before. The sun looks a bit more odd, the way it lightens the building, yes, but again, if you're just looking at the experience of playing the game as a simulation, this is the best way to play at least on this kind of computer where the graphic performance are not the best. It's a laptop again. Now here I'm gonna move around. As you can see, it just directly move as soon as I press on the keys, just around the mouse, just is very responsive. There is not like this like a odd kind of a freezing time. It's just a different experience. Again, when I first started playing that game with zero population, that's how easy it was and smooth. It was even much better. But after 50,000 people, I mean, even in Cities Skylines 1, the diminution into the performance, the game performance, the simulation performance were very similar to these ones that I'm seeing right now. And when you zoomed in, even with very low settings, I feel like the graphics are actually pretty decent, pretty solid. Like you see this house in the foreground, you see the tree over there. It's just, I feel like the details, the level of details doesn't last as long. It is far from being as long, but everything is much smoother, and when they are very close from us, it looks very, very good. I'm missing, I think, some shadowing maybe. That's what I would say, yes. So here we're back to the same level of view we were earlier, and yeah, I mean, same as before. Speed is pretty good. You can see that it's going down up to 0.4 when you move, but as soon as you let it play again, up to 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. Very, very smooth. I mean, as much as we can, I guess. It's not ideal. It's also raining. The rain might not be much helpful right now, but let's try a different kind. So now we're gonna go to just low settings. We're gonna get out of very low and going to just low settings, and we're gonna fast forward the transition time. And we are back. So a bit laggy, especially when you move around. You have now this motion blur feature that I will always suggest you to turn off, because it doesn't matter what we do, it's always frustrating here. Like, for whatever reason, it's just not playable. Like, the mouse itself is kind of laggy a bit, but here, as soon as we change it, it just goes away. Now we're gonna go to medium setting, and the motion blur is still gonna be here. I'm gonna remove it, and here you can see it goes to 0.5, 0.6. Medium is not much difference than with very low settings. There is more clouds, more details. It just looks much more realistic, and that's I'm gonna try to find an happy medium between simulation speed and what actually kind of looks realistic, because honestly the graphic in very low are not bad. The only issue might be the coloring of the skies, the lack of effect of the fog and the clouds, and maybe some shadows. The difference of simulation speed between high settings and medium settings is not that bad, honestly, and that's why I don't see why playing in medium setting. It just doesn't make sense to me. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put everything onto the highest settings. Like, I'm gonna go into advanced settings, and we're just gonna select everything and push it to the limit of it. Also, something that's very important, in a Mac you can download a fan app, and because of that you would be able to decide the speed of your fan and override what your computer tells you, and that might help you to push more out of your processors. Okay, so here it is, maxed out. Now it's pretty laggy. Yes, you see the mouse when I move around, it just doesn't go out of the selected building. Takes like a couple of seconds, to notice the things. Yes, now we're running at 0.4. It's about a third of the performance of in very low settings. It does look good though, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's why when I actually play the game for you guys, I'm literally using it in high settings, because it just looks amazing, and the speed doesn't matter that much because I'm doing a time lapse anyway. So for you, it just make everything look like it's seamless, but for me it's a big hassle, and that's why it takes me so long to do all of these videos, because there is like a few hours of footage. Now here, even in higher settings, I want to walk around, I want to go around, and we're gonna see that here I still am not able to figure out how to see my whole forest. Like, I designed a beautiful forest, everything was supposed to look very linear, and for whatever reason I can only see half of my trees, if any of this. You can see the shadows moving from all of the other objects. I don't understand what I need to change in the setting, because I feel like I changed everything to the best settings. Here there is some issue with the fogging and the clouds. That's not a big issue, it's at the edge of the map, but here moving around is kind of a pain. Like, especially when I use a keyboard, it moved me either too much, either not enough. It's very frustrating, and then when I use the mouse, it's very different. Being the last episode of construction of building of Mac Island, I wanted to show you all of the stats of our city to see where we come through. So we're gonna go through every single tab and see how's the traffic, how was the road condition, the electricity. We can see that we're pretty equilibrated in this. Even in the schools we are pretty good. Health department, fire. I'm literally trying to go through all of the single different tabs and see what did we do, what did we build, did we do a good job. I love the addition of all of these new city buildings. It helped me have more fun with the city. The reality is, my city, my goal is kind of done. I wanted to build over the whole island, make it very dense. I could honestly do more than that, but it's just getting boring because I don't have much new ideas to add, and the game, as you can see, is pretty slow. So I honestly don't know, like, if you guys really want me to do one more episode, two more episodes, I might be able to squeeze it in, but without the asset editors, it's kind of hard to find more inspiration, and I might just start all over again on a new map. I'm just trying to find more inspiration right now, and usually I get this from the mod shop. I hope you like this kind of different insight into my world, and you can see also what are the real perks of playing Cities Skylines on a Mac. Now let's see what we built today. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. A very different episode today, and I have something even more different next week ready for you. Thank you so much. Encore merci à tous. Au revoir et à bientôt. Bye bye.